My name isn't on the reservation. At the reception desk of a luxury hotel, I felt the blood drain from my face. I was sure I had made a reservation online, but it seems my name isn't on the guest list. There must be some mistake. I checked my mailbox as the employee suggested, but I couldn't find the reservation confirmation email.
What would you like to do? We do have one room available.
The hostess, who came over later, made a suggestion to me while checking the guest list.
Oh, but this room.
After checking the list, she threw a scrutinizing glance over me.
It's our most expensive room. It would be too much for you, wouldn't it?
Indeed, today, it was supposed to be our wedding anniversary, and we were supposed to stay here with the money I saved up from my part-time job. I think this hotel's most expensive room cost about $1,000 per person. There's no way I could afford that. No choice but to explain the situation to my husband waiting in the lobby and come back another time. It seems we won't be able to stay. When I responded that way, the hostess said, "I'm sorry. Even though we are the ones who caused the inconvenience. I'm so sorry. It seems I couldn't make the reservation properly. There is availability in the most expensive room, but it's not within our budget."
What? So, what are we going to do today? It's already getting dark. Are we going to look for another place now?
Yeah, just wait a bit. I'll check.
Check. Can you even find anything with that cell phone when you couldn't even make a reservation?
I'm really sorry, but I'll try. While I was struggling with the unfamiliar operation, suddenly, my husband snatched the cell phone away.
Lend it to me. I have a good idea.
My husband is laughing. A good idea. Feeling puzzled, I decided to listen to what my husband had to say. Little did I know that I would soon find out the man my husband had been portraying all this time was a lie. My name is Kaylee Simmons, 53 years old, working as a cashier at a supermarket. Ever since my older husband, Roger, retired, it feels suffocating to be alone together. The job opening I found during such times lifted my spirits. I can't tell you how much it has worn on me to support my husband, who has always been the domineering type. Living on a meager salary, saving is a must. We rarely go on vacations. The word "gray divorce" is becoming popular, and I can understand it fully now. Having my husband around the house all the time is unbearable. I can't watch TV whenever I want, and I can't relax and snack either. Living this constrained life, my frustration is building to the point where I feel like I could scream any minute. Working as a supermarket cashier was challenging with so much to learn. However, once I experienced the sense of accomplishment that comes after the hardships, the option of quitting disappeared from my mind. Talking with the younger folks makes me feel rejuvenated, and working elevates my self-esteem. Being a full-time housewife and always confined to the home, I feel like I am finally reclaiming the youth I never had. My life started with an arranged marriage, but as my world slowly expands, There are days I regret how narrow my perspective was.
Today is the youngest you'll ever be again. There's no point in regretting the past, so let's enjoy today more than yesterday, and tomorrow more than today.
Thompson, a fellow part-timer, shared this with me as she was changing. She went through a late-life divorce the year before last, and is now living with her elderly mother at her childhood home.
Dedicating yourself to your husband is fine, but such a life is too precious to waste.
Too precious.
We may be getting older, but there's still so much we can do.
One of those things was saving money to stay at a luxury hotel. I'm going to fulfill the wishes my husband didn't grant with the money I've earned by sweating it out. I'll definitely bring my husband along and make him eat his words. Am I a wicked woman for concocting some sort of revenge? No. Probably feeling inferior all this time is likely my husband's fault, so it can't be helped. I'll show him the things he didn't do for me. Saving the target amount with my part-time job salary was quite tough. But watching the amount slowly increase in my bank book every night kept me going, and I never gave up. My husband never helps with the chores. Instead, he goes out and about occasionally. He always comes back in the evening and has his meal as usual. We were originally a couple of few words, but since my husband retired, our conversations have diminished even more. So, when I invited him to go on a trip, he made a very surprised face. His eyes widened. I had never seen him make such a face before, so that alone felt like a victory. I had been working so hard in places you didn't see. I felt proud of myself. However, a problem arose when we arrived at the luxury hotel. The reservation I thought was certainly made wasn't there. Checking the email, there was no reservation confirmation mail either. Did I possibly forget to press the last button? What should I do? What should I do? At the reception, I couldn't hide my panic, and one of the employees kindly calms me down. After a while, the hostess comes and checks the guest list, saying that there is a room available. But she seemed concerned, eyeing my appearance. It seems the only room available is the most expensive one, and she seems to be worried that I won't be able to afford it. Indeed, there is no way I can pay for a room that costs several $1,000s per person. I'm sorry, I will make a reservation again. I was extremely frustrated. I intended to give my husband a piece of my mind. I feel disgusted with my own lack of foresight. When I explained the situation to my husband, who was reading a newspaper on the sofa in the lobby, he furrowed his brows. I'm truly sorry. Then, my husband slowly stood up, gently placed his hand on my shoulder, and then headed to the reception. There are no rooms available, you know.
There is one available, isn't there?
But that one is.
Hostess, could you please process the paperwork as we will stay in the available room?
What is he talking about? That room isn't a place we can stay for just a few $100s.
Sure, that won't be a problem.
Hey, are you serious? That room costs tens of thousands per person.
I know. I read about it in a magazine in the lobby earlier. but it's no problem for me.
No problem, you say. Looking back at our years of living, it's clear that we aren't suitable for that room. My husband followed the hostess to the room with a brisk step. During this, overwhelming anxiety swept over me. How will we pay? Using such a large amount of money, wouldn't our little savings be depleted? Since my husband manages all the household finances, I've never dealt with it. I was managing every month with the fixed amount of money I received. The room we were led to was indeed the most luxurious. The view from the window was of the expansive sea, the water surface sparkling, and the furniture decorating the room featured intricate wood carvings. Amazing. As my voice slipped out, my husband smiled. But quickly, anxiety struck again.
Still feeling uneasy about staying here?
Yes, because the money. My husband, seeing my worry, said, "Please sit here," pointing to the cushion.
You're always worried about money, aren't you?
Because we've always been living frugally. Then, my husband took his wallet out of his pocket, and he showed me a card. It was a business card, with the title director written above my husband's name. I've never heard about anything like this before. Because he was supposed to have retired, and I thought he was a perpetual regular employee without any title even before retirement.
I'm sorry for keeping quiet all this time.
Sorry. I'm still trying to make sense of this. What do you mean?
I earn much more than you think.
That has to be a lie. We've always lived modestly. Sure, since marrying you, I've never struggled with the basics, but it was never a life of luxury.
Well, there is a profound reason for that. Basically, my mother.
His father passed away when he was very young, and his stepmother raised him single-handedly. They were really poor. I've heard they lived a life so desperate, they had to rely on meals from the church soup kitchen.
Since Dad died, we were always struggling for food, and our clothes were tattered, and there were times we just washed our hair with the kitchen water. I think I've mentioned before, living to see the next day was all we could manage. So, I never wanted to burden the person I married with my situation after I'm gone.
I listened quietly to my husband's story, to the feelings he had kept inside, unknown to me until now.
Now, you're working, so even if I die, you'll manage. But it wasn't like that before. You kept the wishes of your parents and were a full-time housewife. If I had left you alone by dying, I was always worried that you'd end up barely scraping by, like my mother. So I handed over to you only the bare minimum and saved everything else.
But even so, was there really a need to keep your position a secret? Because I've always thought you were a regular employee, feeling somewhat inferior because of it.
If I talked about my position, you would know about the high salary as well. I thought you might then ask for more for living expenses and other things.
I'm shocked. So, you kept it a secret all this time. You say you're thinking about my future, but that's pretty self-centered.
That's why. When you offered to cover the cost of this hotel for our anniversary, I thought it might not be good if things stay this way. You probably think I'm earning so little that I can't afford to stay at this hotel, but that might have been wrong considering we've been married for so many years.
Yes, I do think so.
I'm sorry.
Saying sorry won't make me trust you immediately. In the first place, this piece of paper doesn't prove anything to me. My husband awkwardly sipped his tea. But it kind of makes sense now. The reason you've been going out vaguely.
Yeah, the retirement was just a formality. Actually, I have been visiting a subsidiary regularly to consult on their operations.
So, you were quite a competent employee.
Well, it could be interpreted that way. Possibly.
I sighed deeply. The realization that my husband, sitting in front of me, had been an elite employee all along, and that he had been hiding it. It's hard to catch up with understanding.
Recently, I read a book about job hunting and started feeling this wasn't right. We are a married couple, so no secrets, but it was hard to bring it up now.
If you happened to die and an unexpected inheritance suddenly came in, I would surely be flustered.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to leave you alone struggling. That's how grateful I am.
But what would you do if I died first? My husband opened his eyes wide in surprise.
I never thought about it. I naturally assumed you would live longer.
Oh well, no one knows when their end will come, but thank you for telling me. It was a bit rough, but it's turned into an anniversary where I feel truly cherished.
Yes, I should have brought you to places like this more often.
Indeed, that might have been more enjoyable. I yawned and moved to the window to take in the view. I wanted to thoroughly ingrain the view from such a luxurious hotel into my memory.
I'm sorry. I will properly discuss everything from now on.
My husband stood beside me, looking apologetic. I was really shocked, but it's better than being confessed to about having debts. After that, we spent our time leisurely, savored a luxurious meal, and enjoyed sightseeing. How many years have passed since we got married? Well, let's try not to think about it, so I don't have to face how much I've aged. It's another wedding anniversary. I was out working, and my husband confessed a secret he had been keeping from me for a long time. It's something to reach this age and think you never know what life will bring. When you are an executive, you could at least buy me a diamond ring, I would plead, and he would refuse, saying, "Can't do that. I still have to save more for your future." Oh, I wonder what kind of luxury I could indulge in when the inheritance comes in. I'm such a wicked woman to even think about it. When I look back on my life, I'm sure I'll never forget this day. And when I get back home, I'll work hard at my part-time job and reward myself. What a fulfilling life it is.